If you haven't heard, there's a new show on Hulu. It's called Alien Earth. Yes, that alien. I guess I was late for the party. I hadn't heard anything about it at all. I hadn't seen any trailers or anything until the day it premiered, so I didn't have 1 second to develop any preconceived notions or to do any performative eye rolling or any of that other stuff most YouTubers seem to do these days. I just went in cold. So right out of the gate, I turned on the Hulu and immediately the thumbnail for the show appeared to be a not-so-subtle message. This is space diversity. I wasn't optimistic, but then the show starts and the sets and tech look spot on. Everything from the flickering CRT monitors to the blocky interfaces and industrial corridors fit seamlessly into the alien universe. They didn't try to modernize it with slick holograms or touchscreens that would clash with the analog, clunky future established in 1979. It's still that gritty, functional, cigarette-stained sci-fi tech, where every button looks like it might detonate the ship. The attention to visual continuity is impressive. It feels lived in, dirty, and exactly like something Weyland-Yutani would manufacture in bulk and cut corners on. Then the crew wakes up from cryo-sleep and we've got every race, every gender, and possibly every orientation represented. This may be the most diverse cast in science fiction history. Not just diverse, but strategically diverse. Then we meet the only 2 white guys on the ship, and of course they are absolutely caked in grease and dirt. Where are they getting all this grime? I guess they could have been mechanics or something, I don't know, but I think the underlying meaning was something else entirely, especially when they start spewing bigoted nonsense for no reason. Then we get an Asian dude doing a slow, predatory once-over of one of the female crew members, along with a quick flashback of him doing the same while she was in cryosleep. It's basically the alien version of the male gaze in Zero Gravity. So now we've got diversity and misogyny in the future, in space. Then at 8 minutes and 43 seconds, I started looking at my watch. That's never a good sign. Suddenly out of nowhere, Jon Bon Jovi shows up on screen. Or at least I thought it was him. I was ready to roast the dude for monologuing about a scorpion instead of singing about Tommy and Gina. But then I started looking a little closer, and it's not even Jon Bon Jovi. It's Josh Duhamel. So Josh Duhamel is delivering bootleg Blade Runner philosophy about a scorpion while comforting a girl who is supposed to have cancer. And then I realized that it's not Josh Duhamel either. It's Timothy Olyphant, which somehow made all of this even funnier. So Timothy Olyphant is talking to the little girl that has cancer, and she is very clearly wearing a skull cap. It kind of broke the illusion for a moment. Now, I'm sure this little actress got paid well, but if the role is supposed to be dying child, could we not have asked her to commit like Millie Billy Brown did for 11 Strange Things? This kid got a wardrobe hat that made it extremely hard to suspend disbelief. At this point, I'm checked out completely, but then something very unpredictable happens. Once the story actually starts, like once it really gets going, Alien Earth does something most modern sci-fi completely fails at. It starts telling a compelling story. Now before I continue, let's talk about the facehugger in the room. Where the heck does Alien Earth sit in the franchise continuity? Because we first met the Xenomorph species in 1979 when the crew of the Nostromo stumbled across the derelict ship on LV-426, and John Hurt got an alien parasite down the throat for his trouble. That was first contact. That's the mythology. That's the whole reason the original Alien worked. Nobody knew what they were dealing with. So how are there xenomorphs on Earth in a series set decades before the events of the original film? I'm seriously asking. I'm sure the answer is something simple that I'm overlooking somehow, so please share. If it's got a biomechanical exoskeleton, a retractable mouth inside a mouth, it's a xenomorph. So the question is, what timeline are we in? Is this an alternate universe? If this is the same continuity as Prometheus and Covenant, then things are already a little muddled. Ridley Scott tried to retrofit the entire origin of the xenomorph as a lab experiment. And while I thoroughly enjoyed those movies, there were some timeline gymnastics there. But at least he had the decency to keep the xenomorphs off Earth, so it could still kind of fit. Alien Earth basically says, forget that. We're bringing the monsters to Earth decades early, and we're not telling anyone. If that's the angle, secret history, hidden experiments, corporate cover-ups, then okay, I'll play along. I love a good conspiracy, but it needs to be addressed. Right now it feels like the writers just wanted to have their alien cake and eat it too, like they're hoping that fans would be too distracted by Jon Bon Jovi giving philosophical monologues and diverse casting to notice the giant hole in the lore. And this is where I'm reminded of what Rian Johnson did to Star Wars. That smug, what if we subverted expectations thing. It feels like it's creeping in here. The temptation to take a beloved franchise, tear out its spine, and replace it with a thesis about identity and grief, while pretending you're doing fans a favor. To be fair, Alien Earth hasn't gone full Last Jedi, but it feels like it might be creeping in that direction. But maybe it's just me. Maybe it's sci-fi PTSD, but I still see the fingerprints of that Rian Johnson-style subversion nonsense all over this thing. That smug tone where the writers clearly think they're making something deeper than the material they're adapting. They sprinkle in those little moments, the self-aware wink, the long pause before a line that's supposed to be profound, the occasional scene that feels like it's more about the writers proving how smart they are than about the characters making actual sense. Once you start playing fast and loose with canon like this, rewriting First Contact, putting aliens on Earth, brushing past continuity like it's a minor inconvenience, you risk unraveling the entire mythology. And I guess that's okay, as long as what you do is an improvement. But if this turns into a "the real alien was inside us all along" allegory, I think we're all going to be a bit disappointed. I hope I'm wrong. I mean, so far he's mostly walking the line. He's not afraid to ask actual questions about humanity, identity, and what it means to survive. He's even letting the Xenomorph mythos evolve organically instead of just throwing in callbacks for nostalgia points. I need to mention here that I've only watched the first episode, but for me, so far this show works. Not because it's diverse or philosophically ambitious. It works because it tells a story. And when a story is good, your brain stops looking for politics. It stops doing race math. It stops counting pronouns. You just get pulled in. At least that's how it is for me. Some people are just physically incapable of turning off that part of their brain because YouTube told them not to. Again, I've only seen the first episode. I went in with no expectations at all, and I'm hooked. I'm staying because I'm genuinely curious where it's going. I can't wait to watch the rest of this series. So, should you watch it? If you're a diehard fan, maybe not. I'm a casual fan at best, so I'm not married to any of the lore. I'll be fine as long as they don't completely take a dump all over it, but if you're a diehard, this series may be a little difficult to digest. I think the sweet spot might be for people who are completely unfamiliar with the Alien franchise. For them, this whole thing could be a fresh and unique story, particularly the stuff about the cyborgs, synths, and hybrids. That's some good stuff, and I'm glad to see them exploring that stuff. Anyway, that's it. Am I right? Am I wrong? Let me know all the reasons I'm an idiot in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, click notifications, and I will see you next time.